Okay, so like I said, without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and introduce our guest today. So this is a lady coming from the Indiana State Department of Health. She will share with us some good and wonderful resources, and she's also available to answer some pertinent questions we might be willing to ask her, especially in this time that it's so challenging that everybody is trying to navigate through health and well-being. And so much so that she is like one of us. She is a colored person, so she knows what from the perspective she's going to be talking from. So she's been there. So please feel free to put your questions in the chat box, or you can raise your hand if you want to. So over to you, Miss Antoinette Holt. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you for inviting me. I greatly appreciate it. Greetings to everyone today. I am the director for the Office of Minority Health with the Department of Health. And so my primary objective is to address health disparities and try to create health equity in a lot of situations and access issues and things that involve mostly people of color or racial and ethnic minorities. So I've been in this position as the director since 2008. I've been with the state since 2000, so it's been a long time. And so we've had involvement locally, statewide, and national-wise in a lot of things dealing with minority health, and in recent with the coronavirus or COVID-19. So I was asked today just to talk a little bit about things as far as the state coronavirus, or answer your questions. And I would like you to talk to me. Unfortunately, just because of what we do, we're back to back with meetings. So I want to make sure I address all your questions that you have. So I may do a little less presenting, but answering your questions. So that way we can make the most of our time together. Okay. Right now, we, as you know, we are working in regards to trying to get the vaccine to as many people as possible. We're trying to make sure accessibility or having access is important. We are doing things from not only providing interpreters and translation services, but even the registration process. You can now get it in Spanish, but this weekend we'll be able to have it in Burmese. And so we're trying to see how we can, again, make accessibility for everyone. So we continue to strive to do things because I know we have a Creole population, the French is needed, and a lot of other different things. And so we're trying to make sure we're addressing those issues. There are efforts all around the state to address vaccine hesitancy because people have questions, which is understandable. You know, a lot has happened and transpired in 1 year's time. We've gone from just being able to walk freely to now having a lot of restrictions or advice in regards to how to live. And it can be impounding on us. Some of us have been affected by the disease personally. We've lost loved ones or friends. And some of us have had it ourselves or just different things. And so I'm here to answer your questions that you may have about it. I know. So let me see. So in the state, we have an Office of Minority Health. We have an Office of Refugee Health. We also have an Office of Women's Health. And these are kind of the offices that deal with special populations. We are trying to, because of COVID and different things, there's a lot of resources that are coming down to the state. So monies are coming to where we'll be able, hopefully, to address more concerns and needs of our communities. So we have been writing grants and different things to make sure that we receive the funding to be able to help those community organizations that may outreach or do different things as far as education, hopefully get more opportunities for vaccine areas, hopefully to be able to build infrastructure that's just going to better the efforts of health equity and truly achieve it. We're trying to work on health equity internally as far as the State Department of Health and externally, because we got to get people's mindset changed, right? They have to realize the importance and the issue of how bias and racism and injustice affects what we do and how we receive health. And so people need to understand the process of what challenges people face. You know, you yes, you want me to get the vaccine, but I'm going to have to figure out how am I going to get my food? How am I going to make sure my children are okay? How am I going to make sure my family stays well? What happens after you get the vaccine? Because some people, they get the vaccine and they're fine. Some people have some reactions and things. You know, why did they pause Johnson and Johnson? There's just all these lot of questions that people have, and we want to make sure that we address them. So I'm going to be quiet. I'm going to let you ask me questions because I got about 15, 20 minutes left, and then I got to run to another meeting. But again, I'll be back on with my friend at 5:30, right? And then hopefully we'll have longer time to be able to go into detail in case you want to come back again because you just like me so much. Just playing. Okay. Any questions?
Thank you so much, Ms. Holt. And families, we have some minutes to share our thoughts or questions from whatever we might have, especially about the vaccine. If you have any question concerning the vaccine, if you have any question concerning anything, related to health and well-being, especially in our state of Indiana, you have a great resource right now. Please go ahead. Feel free to ask your question right now. You can raise your hand. You can write it on the chat box. Okay. All right. Any question? Anyone raising hands? Questions? Is the coronavirus good for me? Okay, I think somebody is asking a question.
There is a question in the chat. Would children need to get the vaccine?
Okay.
Good question. Presently, right now, the vaccine age is 16 and up. And if you're 16 to 18, they are, at least in Indiana, we're asking that you have parental consent for that. And the vaccine that they're using for 16 to 18, it's Pfizer. 18 and up, you can have your choice of Pfizer, Moderna, and if they should release Johnson & Johnson back again, it will be that. They are looking and doing tests as far as children even younger. And so it's a process of consideration. So we're just waiting to see what the results of that will be. But there is discussion and efforts being made to see about the vaccine being younger than at least 12 to 16.
Thank you. I think we have other questions, right? There's another question.
No, she was just saying that she already has the vaccine for herself, and her kids are 11 and 8.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah. So right now they're a little bit too young to get the vaccine, but you and your family who are older getting the vaccine helps us in regards to ensuring that your family bubble will be safer than not. So I'm happy that you went and got the vaccine. But as soon as we find out more research and have more concrete evidence as far as younger, I'll definitely share that information, or it'll be out and you'll see it in the news.
En el caso entonces que ustedes quieran compartir también esta información con sus amigos, por favor compartan.
Thank you so much.
Mhm.
Do we have any other question concerning related to the vaccine? Because I know that's the hot topic right now. Some people, they are not sure. While we're waiting for a couple more minutes, let me ask this question. So what advice would you give for people that are skeptical? They are not sure whether to go ahead and take the vaccine or not. Just your advice, general advice you give.
I'm encouraging people, not just because I work for the health department, but I'm encouraging people because I want us to be in good health and I want us to live long. And this is a prevention measure, just like if you were getting the flu shot, just like you were getting vaccines for your children before they go to school, a tetanus shot that you get every 10 years. This is a measure that we're utilizing to make sure that we're trying to get that number down. You know, this virus is ever changing, so we don't necessarily know from day in, day out what will happen, as you've seen or experienced, because it can change so frequently. But I would advise you to be educated as far as get information forums like this that Bucola is hosting. I think it's very important. Find out for yourself. Don't listen to myths in regards to the vaccine having a microchip or the vaccine having baby parts, or if you get the vaccine, you're going to grow an extra body part, or these different things. We want you to be empowered to have the facts so you can make the decision. I'm encouraging you to do it, but I don't want to say that I made you do it.
Right.
You have to make that decision that's best for you and your family. Now,
Thank you.
I will say some people can experience some effects after they have it. You know, after a day or two, they may be tired, they may be a little achy or different things. It affects people differently. I know I took the J&J, and the second day I was extremely tired. Like making it from room to room was very difficult for me, but it only lasted 24 hours and I've been fine ever since.
Okay. Thank you so much. I see Comfort raising her hand. Comfort, are you ready to ask your question?
Yeah, my question is, if like you're ready to take the vaccine, do you like have to go to the doctor you use, or you if you have to go to any location to take the vaccine, you have to book appointment before you take it?
You do have to register, but you don't have to go to your doctor that you use. You can go to.
Oh, you are muted. Miss Holt, I think we couldn't hear the last part of that.
Can you hear me now?
Right,
Okay,
we can.
now, yeah.
Sorry, my machine does not like Zoom. I apologize. I don't know what you heard, but you do not have to go to your doctor specifically. You can sign up online with coronavirus.in.gov, and I could put it in the chat.
Yes.
Or you can call 211 and you can register near an area near you. Or if you want to go take a trip somewhere else, you can register throughout the state. And so the only thing you will need when you go, thank you so much for putting that. The only thing you would need when you go is to make sure, you know, you'll register online, and then they'll ask you your name and your date of birth, because it's a federal vaccine, there's some information we have to collect, but it's not information to collect that's going to cause, as far as people doing anything, whatever. Anybody is welcome to have. It's free, so you should not be charged for the vaccine.
Okay.
I want to make sure of that, because there's some people that have been, what's a nice way of putting it, tricked or duped in going to get the vaccine and gotten a bill, and you should not get a bill.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
The insurance information.
Okay, go ahead, please.
The reason they're asking for your inference, there's a fee that the insurance has to pay to cover a cost. And I think that fee is like $26. But that's the fee. If you don't have insurance, you do not have to worry about it. HRSA will take care of that. But they ask that for the purposes because we have to, well, not we, but the CDC has to kind of do a lot in regards to who has gotten it. You know, this is a person that's gotten it, is covered, different things. So there's this fee, it's an administrative fee that you pay, but the insurance is supposed to cover. And if you don't have insurance, you still should be able to get the shot free with no problem. And HRSA, which is a governmental agency, will cover that expense. You're welcome.
Thank you.
Let me know if you have
Okay.
any more issues with that.
There is another question.
There's another question, please.
Okay.
What is the most recommended vaccine?
Someone is asking, what is the most recommended vaccine?
One you go get in your arm. It's all three are good vaccines. The only reason why they took a pause with J&J is because they had these 6 women that had blood clots. Now 6 million out of 7 million people shows several things. One, it shows that the tracking and different things that is being effective. Okay, so they're just showing efficacy and being careful and precautious. It's great that they caught that because then that shows that the system's working right. When you go, you get the vaccine, they monitor you, they make sure you're okay, and it shows what's happening. And for that small number of incidents with so many people being vaccinated is great. And so whichever one you have accessibility to, I would encourage you to get, whether that be Pfizer. If you get Pfizer, you're going to have to do 2 doses. And it's a 21-day window. If you do Moderna, you have to do 2 doses, and it's 28 days later that you go to get your other shot. If you do J&J, it's a one-time shot.
Well, thank you so much, Ms. Holt. I'm not sure we have any more questions at this time. What do you say to children that are less than age 16? What happens to them?
Right now, they're in the process of trying to see in regards to the different vaccines as far as children under 16, but we're not there yet in regards to officially say children 12 and different things. But they're looking at 12 and up as doing possible vaccinations and how that will affect children. So they're in the process of that decision and testing and different things such as that. So they have not reached that final conclusion. So, so right now it's 16 and up. Now, this COVID virus is different, and so every day is different. That means they could do something tomorrow that I'm telling you that's different. But right now it's 16 and up.
Okay. Thank you. Well, I guess you kind of answered this question a little bit, but someone is asking, is it safe for kids to take it? I'm assuming maybe the age range that you just mentioned, that is it safe
it
for
is
them
safe
to take
for
it?
16. It's safe for 16 and up to take it. Again, they're trying to see all the possibilities, what they can do going younger. But right now, 16 and up. I'm going to say, just like with anything, everybody reacts differently to the vaccine. So everybody's experiences have been different. Some people have taken the shot and have been fine. Some people have taken it and may have some like cold-like symptoms or chill, a little feverish, tired. I know when I took it, I took J&J. The second day, I was extremely tired. So there's some people that have a little lingering effects of that, but usually that lasts 48 to 72 hours, and then you're fine. And then some people are fine and have no problems. So I want to just be mindful of the fact that Everybody's reaction is different. And so, but for the most part, it is safe.
Thank you. All right. Okay. So do we have any more questions for our guest? Thank you. We're just trying to see if any other person have any question. So in the absence of no question, we might probably want to say thank you to our guests tonight for your time.
Thank you so much. And can I just say, if you have any questions, you can always go to the website, or I know you know how to reach me. So if anything comes up, I'm more than happy to answer afterwards. If I don't have an answer, I'll be glad to direct you to a person that does. And I can also keep you in touch as far as things that's coming out or different opportunities. So just let me know.
That's based on the information from Dr. Butts. Dr. Butts has tweeted about giving out vaccine to children within the age range specified. Please watch out next week. We're going to be giving more information as to that and direct instructions to what to do. But just for you to know that your children that falls within that age range will start receiving their vaccine very soon. Are you thinking of changing your learning environment in the school year, the coming school year, 2021-2022? Remember, you are welcome to be in person or when at home. So it is very important to know that you have to complete enrollment form in Skyward. So in Skyward, and it's no later than April 30th, 2021. Current virtual students and in-person staying or moving to virtual when at home, please make sure you go into Skyward, and you will see to the left-hand side, you will see that column that says new enrollment. So registration for Achieve Virtual Elementary and Education Academy will be open to the public after April 30th. But before then, if you are in Wayne at home right now, you have the opportunity to go and register by April 30th. After April 30th, they will be open to the general public, including people outside the district. So every available slots that are not taken by current Wayne at home and Wayne in-person students will be open to other people, you know, that are willing to. Also, please remember that elementary students staying or changing to Wayne at home will have to choose Achieve Virtual Elementary in their registration packet or in Skyward. So whether you have the actual packet in your hand or you go to your Skyward to do the online enrollment. If you are in elementary, KG, kindergarten through 6th grade, please choose Achieve Virtual Elementary if you want to remain at Wayne at home. And secondary students, that is from 7th grade up until 12th grade, if you are moving to Wayne at home, you will have to choose Achieve Virtual Education Academy. So after now, all current virtual students that skip this form will be automatically moved back to in-person next school year. So if you fail to complete your enrollment within the range, the stipulated date, which is April 30th, then next school year, if you will be automatically moved back to in-person. So you see parents coming to say, oh, why? You know, I was Wayne at home last year. What happened that they have to move me to in-person? Is because you have not completed the required application. It is also very important to let us know that Achieve Virtual Elementary School is a blended school experience. So that means it will require weekly in-person activity that will include hands-on learning and writing and whatever we do in actual brick and mortar, actual in-person. So it's going to be a mix. So we want to let parents know this because some parents, you don't have to think, okay, because I'm at home, I can decide to go to another state and I will still be in Wayne. It does not work that way. So the first 9 weeks will not include weekly in-person or instructional activities. However, families should be prepared as from November that Achieve Virtual Elementary will be a hybrid situation. So they will have to come in person and then do some other work virtually. And it will be located at Lakeview Christian Church off of High School Road next to I-465. So just to let us know. Kindergarten registration date, as we announced the last time, it's ongoing. We have two dates left. We can that's on May the 12th and July 7th, from 8:30 a.m. to 2 p.m. and 5 p.m. to 8 p.m. in all our elementary schools. Please bear in mind that you can still go into Skyward to do the your registration.
Skyward, pero usted se va a la website y se va a donde se registra el kindergarten.
We're going to put the link in the chat, but you can visit our website and you see that it's going to be district.wayne.k12.in.us/kindergarten registration process. So you will see it. We're going to put this in the chat. So from there, they will receive an email with username and password and a link to continue to the regular Skyward page if you decide to go through Skyward for your kindergarten registration. But bear it in mind that parents, at some point, we have to go to the school building to provide 2 proof of address and vaccination records. So please make sure you take note of all this information. We have some parents already calling for questions about their kindergartners. Please take note of this dates and all the other information. Please, if you have any questions, you are welcome to raise your hand or write them in the chat box. Also, the Final Giant Marketplace Food Pantry is scheduled for May 21st, 2021. If you have been participating before now, you know the routine. Please make sure you reach out to Mrs. Akimbola or Mr. Esquivel beforehand so that we can get you registered. And on the day, you just make your way to a Night Grade Center, door 7, between the hour of 3 to 5 p.m. You're welcome to call these numbers also if you cannot send us an email. So we also have this family night event, virtual family fun night event coming up. So remember, for some of us that participated in our last field trip, it was a wonderful time and also awesome time for the family. So this time around, we are going to be having something a little different. It's also virtual. You do not have to bother to come to anywhere. You sit in the comfort of your home and you enjoy a virtual family fun night. So this is going to be taking place on Monday, May 17 for English only, and Tuesday, May 18 for Spanish speaking only, and between the hour of 6 to 7 p.m. So we're going to have a magic show, abracadabra will be on. It's going to just entertain us to kind of, you know, just chill as a family and enjoy the evening together. If you would like to participate, please go ahead and fill the Google form. For your convenience, go ahead and fill. There's English only and there's Spanish. The last time, remember, we promised to send you gifts if you participated in the field trip. Yes, we are not going back on our words. We meant it, and we are still working on it. We just wanted to make sure that we try to tailor your gift to something that will be useful to you in your family. So this is what we are trying to do. We are going to be sending this gift very soon. Just be on the lookout, as from next week, you will see those gifts. We're going to be sending them through your children in their school. And if you are away at home, then we'll have to mail them to your homes, the addresses that you provided. So please watch out for those gifts. We are not going back. We're not saying, oh, we're not giving them again. We're still very much giving them. Please watch out for them. As always, we want to share with you resources. If you need assistance with bills, employment, please visit the Immigrant Welcome Center. You can take a picture or simply go back to the message we sent out on Parent Square, or go to our LAP Parent YouTube channel. You can always access all this information right there after now, and you will find all this help. All you need to do, like we normally do, just click on that link, put in your zip code, and whatever need you want, just put in there, and you are all set. So just whatever thing you need. Do you need food? Do you need, help with food, employment or bills? Just put in your whatever you need and then put in your zip code and search. Other resources that we would like to share with you, Aspire Indiana Health is they're providing medical care for everyone, babies through adults, and it doesn't matter whether you are documented or not. They are available to provide medical care for whether insured or uninsured individuals. They will work with you to get insured if you are uninsured, or pay on a sliding scale. If you qualify, there's sometimes sponsor opportunity. They're also available if you qualify. So make use of that resource to your convenience. You're welcome to call the number listed, 877-574-1254. Please call the number and make an appointment. Please call the number to book an appointment, and you can make use of that resource. Please remember that federal income tax is due next month, May 17. So if you are yet to file your taxes, make sure you get through to someone that will help you. You can also access this resource for free filing if you qualify at indiefreetaxprep.com. You're welcome to visit that site and just file your income tax. We also have some hiring opportunities. Project AZO is hiring. They're looking for some positions that are open. As a workforce success coach, a program support intern. Please visit their website for more information if you are interested, or you know somebody that may be needing this information. We're going to listen to this video And basically, we will be listening to one of our director, assistant director of special education in the, she just trying to let us know how to manage our social and emotional aspect of our life, which is very, very important, especially as very soon our children are going to be going on summer break. And some things are going to definitely change. You know, they're going to go out, mingle, at least more than before with other people. It is very important we take care of our social and emotional aspect of life. So without further delay, I'm going to go ahead and play this video. We're going to play just a little bit of the video, and you're welcome to watch the full video later on our channel, or even it's available on the Parent Square message, the information that we sent out. So you have different access to the video.
Hello, my name is Pennie Gregory, and I am the Assistant Director of Special Services in the Office of Special Services here in the MSD of Wayne Township. Thank you for taking the time to listen to this recording, and I'd also like to thank the Office of Language Assistance Program for having me and for making this information available to you. I think it's very important, and I hope that you can find some value in watching this evening. So tonight I'm going to be talking to you about, or today, depending on when you're watching this video, I forget technology, you can access it when you want to. I'll be talking to you about social and emotional learning and our new normal. There has been a lot that has happened in this last year and some change to all of us. We've experienced a lot together, some good and some very terrible experiences. And so I think it'll serve us great to talk about that today, and also to figure out some ways to sort of navigate this new normal. So I want to talk to you about social emotional learning, but you may be asking yourself, what in the world is social emotional learning? This definition here is pretty complex. It's a lot of print on the screen, and I apologize for that, but I wanted to sort of present the whole concept to you, but really just break it down to those few words that are highlighted. When you think about social and emotional learning, I want you to think about the ways in which we interact with each other. I know that your children are coming to school and they're learning a lot in school, and you're thinking, oh, they're learning about reading, maybe some history, math, social studies, those types of things, writing. But did you know that's only one part of their curriculum? The other part of their learning is around social and emotional development. And that is the part of the curriculum that manages, that focuses on managing emotions, setting and achieving positive goals, feeling and showing empathy for others, and then establishing and maintaining positive relationships, and finally making responsible decisions. Social and emotional development is a lifelong and reflective driven process. So you're going to be thinking about this for your entire life. How do I manage my emotions, and how do I set realistic goals for myself? How do I feel and show empathy for what others may be experiencing? How do I build positive relationships? So those things are things that are a lifelong commitment. It is complex, it's dynamic, it's ongoing, and it's culturally adaptive. So it is not just one way to learn about social and emotional states. There are a myriad of ways. And so we want to be sure that we're thinking about it that way, because anything could be used in a way that's causing more harm than good if not thought about in ways that everyone can access. So here's our essential question for our time together. How will we create safe, trauma-responsive schools and homes where people feel connected, included, and supported? Not just emotionally and not just academically, but socially too. How do we do that? I want to draw your attention to the word trauma. What is trauma? We say that a lot in education, and we need to say it a lot, but what is it? In general, trauma can be defined as a psychological or emotional response to an event or an experience that is deeply distressing or disturbing. So it's really the way your body responds to something bad, something terrible that happens. It's the way that your brain processes it. It's the way that your body sort of responds to that. And so that is trauma. It could be a single event. It could be lifelong stressful situations that people are sort of emerged in. And so that could be very traumatic and something that is ongoing in someone's life. So it doesn't have to be one thing. It could be something that's ongoing. Either way, it has to be addressed and talked about so that people can get the help and the support that they need to navigate that. We talked a little bit about stress a second ago. And so right now, you may be listening to me and you may have lots of stress and you may have a lot of things that are happening that is causing your amygdala to be hijacked. What is your amygdala? Emotional hijacking is often referred to as amygdala hijacking, since that is essentially what happens in the brain during times of crisis. The term amygdala hijacking was first coined in Daniel Goleman's book, Emotional Intelligence. The amygdala is the emotional part of the brain. You can see it there, that little red picture there in the picture. The amygdala is the emotional part of the brain which regulates the fight or flight response when you're stressed out. So in fight or flight, our brain senses imminent danger and blasts adrenaline into our bodies to cope with the perceived danger at hand. So when someone is put into a stressful situation, their brain function is actually altered, and their reaction can quickly turn from reasonable and rational to primal and reactive. So think about those times where, have you ever been so stressed out that sometimes people say, I just blacked out. I don't know what happened. That's because your amygdala has been hijacked. It's taken over. And so when that happens, your prefrontal cortex, which is in charge of sort of your processing, your reasoning, that goes away, that gets shut down. And so your reasoning goes away and you're in fight or flight mode. And so you're having these very irrational, very reactive responses to things. And so I just want to point out that's where a lot of us are. And we could be there all day. And we could be there from time to time throughout the day or the week. But it's great to just understand that you're not crazy, nothing's wrong with you. It is actually something that happens in the brain that alters our reactions. And so it's key here to talk about trauma, but also talk about trauma-informed social and emotional learning practices. So in general, trauma can be defined as a psychological emotional response to an event. But if we don't also pair that with how do we combat that in our social emotional learning practices, then we miss the mark. So when we think about that, we think about creating predictable routines. How do you, make sure that the children in your home or your family members, those who you love, can have some sense of a schedule, something predictable that's going to happen. I don't know, it could be a bedtime routine every night. We go through this routine of maybe brushing your teeth, maybe listening to soothing music, maybe getting a book read to them, or maybe them reading a book, something that they can look forward to as a routine. It doesn't have to be just at night. It could just be, when you wake up, what's expected? What do you do? So trying to create those predictable routines in the home, as well as school, could be a trauma-informed SEL practice. The next one is building strong and supportive relationships. How do you do that? You talk to people. You make sure you're listening, you're present. You're giving folks the time that they need to connect with you. And I think that's where you begin. Obviously, that's not an exhaustive list of how to build supportive relationships, but it's definitely a start. Sitting down to talk and listen to people, and figuring out, how can I assist you? Sometimes it's not what you do. Sometimes it's just being present, being available, being there while someone is going through a tough time. Empowering students agency. What does agency mean? It means they have a choice. It means that they have a voice, and we want to hear their voice. We want to give our family members, our students, choices in what happens to them and how they receive information in decision making. That's what agency is about. It's empowerment. The next one is support the development of self-regulation skills. So again, once you empower and give students agency, it also gives them the ability to work on their self-regulation skills. The most important thing is that people understand, that they can regulate themselves, whether it's through intentional breathing, whether it's through, really thinking about what are some things that trigger me and how do I calm down in those times, in those states. So having a plan ahead of time, if this happens, what do I do? Okay, I'm gonna take 3 deep breaths. I may listen to music. I may take a walk. I may read. I may take a nap. I may just have to shut down for a little while. I may have to draw or sort of give myself a physical distraction some kind of way, but just supporting that development and remembering that sometimes as parents, we think we know what's best all the time for our kiddos, and we make decisions for them that maybe it doesn't work for them. So giving them some options and saying, here are some things you can do, and you can choose from there. Again, that agency to be able to self-regulate. And finally, provide opportunities to explore individual and community identities. So, allowing people to feel supported in however they identify. There are many ways people identify, whether it's through their race or their gender or through, how they think about the world, how they think about themselves. And so allowing those opportunities to really explore who people are and not giving people definitions of themselves, but saying, here are our family values, or here are the things that we think are important. But within that, you have the opportunity to really explore who you are as an individual. All those things are key trauma-informed social and emotional practices. So I want to introduce you or present to others Dr. Dena Simons, and she is someone who is really doing a lot of work and research around social and emotional learning. And this quote here, I want you to take a few seconds to read that.
Without context, social emotional learning can backfire. When I do SEL trainings, it's like kids with special needs need this more, or our black and brown children need this more, as if because they're not calm enough. Teachers need to understand themselves, recognize their power and privilege and identity, and what that means in the work that they do and the people with whom they often work. From Dena Simons, EDD.
I want to point out that this quote, it talks about teachers. It says teachers need to understand themselves, recognize their power and privilege and identity, and what that means in the work that they do and the people with whom they often work. I want to point out that this is very applicable to parents and homes, especially with summer approaching. What does it mean to really understand yourself as an adult? Understand what upsets you, what stresses you, and then how do you deal with those stresses and those moments when you're upset in a way that does not cause harm to those around you. I was telling a story to a colleague the other day. My daughter called my name, Mom. She didn't call me in a way that was upsetting. She didn't call me repetitively. She just called my name one time, and I'm like, yes. How can I help you? you know. And I was tired. I was hungry. It was late. I had a long day. And just recognizing that I'm not my best self right now. And what did she do in response? She said, oh, never mind. She went to her room. I didn't go after her. I didn't say, oh, you're going to talk to me. You call my name. Let's talk. Because that was her way of self-regulating. I was upset. I then triggered her. She went into her space, and I realized that she needed space. And I also realized that I need to figure out, what do I need right now to regulate myself? And so we're asking And I'm asking myself and I'm asking you to not be perfect, but to be reflective. And then if you do, fly off the handle like I did, try to repair that harm. So the next morning, I go to her and I say to her, I'm sorry about my response yesterday. I was out of line. I was tired. I was hungry, but I really want to say I'm sorry. I didn't mean to hurt your feelings, and I'm sorry. It was wrong. So repairing that harm, acknowledging that you're human, and just trying to make sure that you learn from each and every one of those situations, because we're not going to get it right all the time, but we can repair when we do get it wrong. Okay, so when we think about social and emotional learning, we talked about some considerations. We need context. We just talked about Dr. Dena Simons and her idea that, we have to think about our own selves before we think about how does this apply to others. But we also need to think about strength-based social and emotional learning. So what does that mean? So we want to capture cultural assets. We want to consider contextual factors. And finally, we want to focus on adult SEL, which we just talked about. So let's talk about capturing cultural assets. What does that mean? Framing student behaviors and skills in a deficit manner can do more harm than good. So we have to not look at what our family members cannot do, our loved ones, whether it's our children or our significant others, our spouses, but let's really think about what they can do. Think about how we are assessing and looking at everything that is going right, not always what's going wrong. We must consider how notions of social and emotional competencies, what I just talked about as far as, self-regulation, responsible decision-making, relationship building, how that can be expanded to include multiple orientations, skills, and abilities from diverse backgrounds. So there's not, again, one way to think about your development as a social and emotional human being. There are many ways to think about that. And so how can we, give our loved ones that grace and that space and time to develop that in their own ways, at their own rate and space? So making sure that we are taking in individual considerations and not just having sort of this blanket expectation of everyone in our home, because even though we've all been through the same global pandemic, we've all reacted in different ways. And that's going to continue to be the case, and that's okay. People should be able to express grief or stress in a lot of different ways. And so we just have to take our time with our loved ones and understand that we all need patience right now. The second one is consider contextual factors. So your home environment, your race, your language, your culture, all those things greatly influences the way that you respond, the way that you make decisions, the way that you perceive yourself, and the way you perceive others. We know that. So we have to consider all those factors when we think about strength-based social and emotional learning. We have to consider the features of our environment, especially those features that may be furthest from opportunity. And think about, are we making spaces for our loved ones so they can feel safe and they can feel supported? When we are going through difficult financial times, or when we don't know, how we're going to make our ends meet. Maybe I used to hear people say, I have more month than money. Sometimes the money runs out and it's stressful. So when those times happen, how do we continue to create safe spaces, even though we may be stressed out? And making sure that people can make mistakes around you, that you can make a mistake and you can say, okay, I made that mistake, and I'm going to move forward from here. So remembering that social and emotional learning is not just viewed in one way, that context matters. Finally, focus on adult SEL. I won't spend too much time here because we've already talked about this, but you shape how your family experiences life every single day. Your attitude, your mood, your disposition, you have a lot of power as a parent, as a loved one. And so just making sure that you are addressing your own needs, your own difficulties, your own biases, address those things. And then, once you do that, you can more effectively interact with and help facilitate the growth of your loved ones around you. Okay, so emotionally healthy climates. I want to talk about some ways that you can implement or carry out some social and emotional learning techniques right there in your own home. We do this in our school buildings, but you can easily do these things at home. And one of the things that we do is something called community circles. You could do this virtually or in person. Recently, we had a family Zoom meeting where we had a community circle, and it just includes really developing positive, respectful, and trusting relationships through authentic sharing. So, when you're having a circle, it just is a time that you can listen and speak with respect, empathy, and understanding to your loved ones. Remember to be kind, remember to try to be honest and speak from your heart, and then honor confidentiality. There are some things that are said in conversations with your family that no one else needs to know. And oftentimes when our children shut down and don't talk to us, is because maybe they've realized, if I tell my parents this, they'll tell other family members or they'll tell their friends, and I don't want it shared. So, be careful about keeping things confidential within your small circles so that people can feel safe to share what they need to share. The last thing I'll point out is operate by consensus. So make sure that everyone is understanding what it means to be in this talk, and that they agree with that. Sometimes people aren't ready to share. Sometimes it's just not a great experience for them. So just being okay with that and backing up a little bit and saying, okay, we can try it another day, or how can I support you in this conversation? I've seen circles where people will go and stand right next to someone. I've seen circles where someone will stand back to back, so someone can feel like, I got your back. You can say what you need to say. There's one more thing here that says use a talking piece, especially for little ones. You might want to get something. I'll grab this from my desk right now. A ball or, some other little toy, and whoever has that thing is the person who's speaking. If you don't have this, the talking piece, then you're not speaking right now. And so it's a great way to practice taking turns and being responsible with that. So you can say, wait a minute, you don't have the talking piece. It's not your turn yet. And so people learn to identify with that object and, okay, it's my turn to talk. So you may say, well, what do we talk about, Ms. Gregory, in these circles? I got you. Let's talk about it. So the SEO competencies, or the areas that we want to really focus on, we've already discussed them, but I'll have it back up here again. So the first one is self-awareness, and the second one is self-management. Here are a couple of questions you could ask in your community circle, your family circle. While you're sitting there with your family, you can say, here's a question for self-awareness. If your feelings were a type of weather, what would that be and why? Think about that. What if someone said it'd be a thunderstorm? And then they would have to answer why. Well, because I got a lot on my plate right now, and I just don't know how I'm going to manage it all. And that becomes a conversation starter. And even if they don't want to talk about it, at least now the family's aware. Another question might be, what is one thing that you are grateful for at this time? You'll be surprised at what people say. One under self-management is, when you are feeling stressed, what is something you do that helps you feel better? This is a great question, because maybe now you can understand how to support someone when they're feeling stressed. If they say, listen, when I'm stressed, I need time alone. So now you know not to push conversations or push time together when they're feeling stressed. They just need some time alone. Finally, when you're struggling, what is the kindest thing you can do for yourself? And so again, you'll learn a lot about people when you ask some of these open-ended questions. They're not yes or no, sort of black or white. It is really questions that incites conversation. A few more questions. Let's look at social awareness. A question under social awareness might be, what is something you can do in the next 24 hours that can make someone else feel good? How do you think a family member, a character in a book, or someone in the news or a movie is feeling? What might be causing that feeling? That's a great question to connect family members. So I might ask one of my daughters. I have 3 children. One is at college, and I have 2 daughters at home, 10 and 16. So, you know, they are in very different developmental levels, but I could ask the youngest one, how do you think your sister's feeling right now? You know, what might be causing that feeling? And you'll be surprised at how aware children are, that you think that maybe they're missing some things, but they're actually very in tune to how people oftentimes are feeling. Let's look at relationship skills. What are some questions you could ask in your family circle around relationship skills? You could say, you know, ask the question, what demonstrates respect? Everyone has a different opinion about what being respectful is. You may think it's one thing, your family member may think it's something else. Getting on the same page with that is essential to help with lessening misunderstandings at home. And then who is someone who has helped you this week? In what ways? Think about if someone were to say it was you that helped them this week. Maybe you weren't even aware of it. What a great way to connect with family, to say, you really helped me this week and I appreciate you. And the last one, responsible decision making. If you were an animal, what animal would you be and why? And if you could be a superhero, what superpowers would you choose and why? And so you could really talk through those questions and kind of help your children with responsible decision making. If they say, if I'm a superhero, my superpower would be, you know, I'm just throwing this out here, but maybe they say I would be able to beat everybody up. So you could say, wow, that is a superpower, but tell me, what would you gain from that? And they may say, well, you know, I could be in control, or I could have anything I want. And then you can help talk them through other ways that they could have control or get things that they want. That's just a silly example, but that's just a way for you to really get into conversation and have teachable moments with your family members around responsible decision making. So I hope those questions were helpful for you to start some of those family circle times at home. I know it has been really, really helpful for me. Some of you already have devoted family circle time or family meetings, or maybe you have a Friday night where, you know, it's movie night, or I know one of my good friends, she has a pizza. I think they have pizza night every Friday night, something like that. And so anything that sets a routine, opens up communication, and allows you to be present with one another, that is great social and emotional learning. Finally, start small, but just start thinking very intentionally about how do you take care of each other in this difficult time. This is our new normal. It's not going anywhere. We've experienced it. So now how do we start, you know, the healing process? I'm hopefully and prayerfully we're on the back end of this thing. So how do we start to sort of pick up the pieces and move forward in healthy and productive ways? Take care of yourself. Take care of yourself. Do that first. And then take care of your adult relationships. And then, you know, make sure that you are thinking about yourself in all the equations. What is that saying? If you were in an accident, put your oxygen mask on first. I think that means like in a, if you were taking a flight somewhere and the oxygen masks, they come down. They don't say, you know, save your neighbor. They say, save yourself first. And so I want you to think about that when you're thinking about how do I support my family? First of all, support yourself. Take care of yourself. Try to, you know, take time to really decompress and check in with yourself first. And then all the other things that we all have to do from a day-to-day basis. So thank you so much for listening to me. I hope that you've learned something. I hope I said something that was helpful or encouraging. And please feel free to reach out to us here in the Office of Special Services if you need additional assistance with any of this. And have a good night, good morning, depending on when you watch this. All right. Thank you so much.